I'm looking to buy a new home, possibly new construction, perhaps an inventory home. I don't need a realtor, right, for that. I mean, I have a realtor, but I don't need a realtor for that, right? Not.
Not. You must be out of your mind, Kat.
That is a thumbs down. If you're listening to this and you're looking to buy a new home now or in the future, spec home, which is an inventory, partially or full built, or from the ground up, picking all of your selections. I personally come from the builder world. I know all the components to that, but I'm super excited today to have my guest, Cesar Rincon, who is with eXp Realty, and he specializes in helping folks just like that maximize their experience, get the best deal, get stuff they wouldn't even dream they could get, because he knows the in and outs of the builders. So listen to this episode. You're going to get some great nuggets for you or someone you know. Without further ado, Cesar, welcome, and thank you so much for showing up and agreeing to be my guest. Cesar, go ahead and give us a little background, kind of what we went over on your bio, and then we'll dive right into our topic on why folks need to have a realtor such as you to help them navigate a new home.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Kat. I know you've been in the business for a long time, and you have a lot of friends and connections that you can invite to be on your show. So I'm honored and humbled to be a part of the show. My background prior to real estate was in advertising and broadcasting. 20 plus year career in many capacities, all the way from production to general manager of a TV station. Then I started my own advertising agency. And in 2018, I have two sisters who have been in real estate for many, many years. And they've been telling me for years, you should get into real estate. You should get into real estate. And, I got licensed, not because I wanted to be a real estate agent, but as an entrepreneur, I always liked multiple streams of income. So my whole purpose was I'll get licensed. I'll do a deal here and there. I'll refer deals, most importantly, and help people out. And then, in 2020, when the world started to change, things changed in my business, and I found myself very actively promoting my real estate business. I've been making millions of dollars for other people running their advertising. I figured, I'll do some advertising for myself. Let's make the phone ring.
Yes.
And sure enough, it rang. And of course, timing was incredible. Interest rates record low. The market just blew up. And so during this last, 2.5 years almost, we've been able to help, a lot of people buy homes. But primarily, we started to focus on new construction because there's so many opportunities. And in my opinion, it's such a much better value than buying a resale home. So, we just, we started working that, and we really focused in, we zoomed, we zeroed in, and we learned the business inside and out. And, like you said, one of the biggest mistakes that people make is thinking that they can buy a new home without a realtor. And of course they can, right? However, just for starters, you have to think about who's representing you. This is the best thing I can say is, like, if you get a traffic ticket, right? You get a traffic ticket, you can go to court by yourself and you can try to figure it out, right? But guess what? If you go with an attorney, they're going to know exactly what to do. And the results that are going to come out are much better. Now, I'm not saying that builder sales reps are, not working in your best interest, but their fiduciary duty is to their company, not to the
builder. Exactly.
To the builder, right?
Yeah.
So, but unlike going to a traffic court with or without an attorney, where you have to pay the attorney, typically the builder will have a commission or payment to the realtor for bringing them business. So to the buyer, there's no additional cost, but you get a consultant that's working on your behalf. And
so let me this is worth repeating, because I think many folks, this format is all about educating and, bringing in creative geniuses like you to share their mojo. And, and I think many people do not realize that it costs them zero. The builder pays
Correct.
For your representation, basically for your lawyer, if you will. And, as you know, I come over a decade from new home sales. But again, my fiduciary relationship was for my company. Some folks think, well, we already have a realtor, the realtor at the sales center. Typically, 9 times out of 10, most builders do not require you to be a realtor. There's a broker of record, but you're not a realtor. So as a community manager or sales counselor, I was able to give them information, to provide them information, help them with design selections if needed, show them lots, et cetera, and so forth. But I could not give them information, powerful information, that a realtor can, who knows the nuances of that particular builder, to say, well, I'll just give you an example. Maybe you've had experience with this. So a certain builder has a calendar year, or what's the other one called? Calendar
Fiscal.
or fiscal.
Yeah.
That is critical when there's stuff on the ground for a smart realtor representative to know that. Now, as a sales counselor, I would never divulge that information, that maybe if they purchased at this time, the powers to be might give them a little bit more or give them a bit bigger discount because they want it off their books.
Yep.
But that is a reality. Do you run across that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, we keep tabs on, and especially the bigger builders who may be publicly traded companies and things like that. We keep tabs on, their earnings, their reports, how their numbers are looking, because that gives us a little bit of leverage. Now, one unit in a big builder that, I don't know, builds 10, 20,000 homes, one unit may or may not move the needle, right? But in general, it's good to know, because it's like having Big Brother right with you, right? How you're more protected, and most importantly, if you're working with an experienced realtor, that realtor knows, like you said, the ins and outs, the nuances. Like, hey, you know what? This lot is going to be better than this lot just because the way the traffic flows.
Yes.
This one, the easement is too deep. This one, you want to build a pool. Don't look at this. This lot's not going to work for you because you're not going to have enough room because of the easement, and those kind of things. We do this.
Exactly. There's no agenda. So with a representative, you're going to be neutral. There's no agenda to, maybe there's a bigger commission on this, or maybe I need to move that, and I'm not accusing anyone of having an agenda, but there's certain things that, need to happen from that standpoint. So you're a neutral party to be able to really counsel and advise a home buyer, and hopefully, maybe prevent them from making a mistake or something that they didn't think about. I'll tell you one thing is, for me, the direction of the home is really important. And oftentimes folks don't think about that, whether it's their first home or multiple homes. They don't think about, if they really like a right home and they purchase a lot that has a northern exposure on the main area, they're going to feel gloomy and dark, in that. So those are really good points. The nuances and information is just golden through your experience. And I like that you specialize in new home construction.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned the position of the home. Some people are really concerned about the position of the home because of, belief systems and things like that, like, feng shui and things like that. Mm-hmm. But also, like, personally, I'm a sunset guy. I love the sunset.
There you go.
When I look at a lot, I'm already, and, as I'm getting to know my clients, I figure out whether they're more morning or afternoon people that like to have backyard parties and things like that. And that's one thing I always look out for, like, where's the backyard, right? Is the backyard going to be on the facing east, facing west? If it's, if the backyard's on the south side, man, you're going to have sun all year round. That's going to be awesome. So, those little nuances make a difference. And for us as realtors, we're out there, especially my colleagues who work on or sell a lot of new construction. We know what's going on. Okay. We know, the nuances, the ups and downs of the community. We get the phone calls when deals fall through. We're always in touch with the opportunities, basically. Mm-hmm. And of course, we love our builder partners. I mean, we couldn't do this without our builder partners. I'm not saying, don't go talk to the builder, but the most important thing is that we are there to support you every step of the way. Okay. You know,
Absolutely.
and personally, I work with a lot of first time home buyers, right? You
Mhm.
know, they need a lot of guidance. They need,
They do. There's a lot of moving parts, and pieces to the puzzle
yeah.
when you're working with first
Yeah, they're
time.
like, well, what is this? What is a mud district? What is, what's this with the utility? What about the HOA? What's the cap fee? Or all those things. We're there to guide them.
Sure.
The sales
And
counselor.
not only first time, but I'm originally from Southern California. I was like, what is mud? Does that mean there's a mudslide in my backyard? We had something else. I forget what they called it back in California, which was someone from Texas wouldn't know what
Right.
it's called. But yeah, there's differences and nuances, especially for people coming from out of state, which you're probably seeing a lot of that right
We
now,
are.
right?
Yes, yeah, we are. We're very fortunate. Right now we have buyers coming in from Florida. We just closed one from Florida last week. We have people actually coming from overseas, from Colombia. We have people coming from Virginia, people coming from New York. We have a referral that just called about 3-4 nights ago from California. So yes, a lot of people moving
A
to
lot from
Texas.
California. Yeah, a lot of people are fleeing here from California and other states. Yeah, so great time. As I mentioned to you on the pre-call, real estate is not for the faint of heart. And the particularly ones that pay attention to detail and, as you do whatever it takes to make the deal happen. Because it is a certain mindset and skill set to be able to coordinate all the pieces of the puzzle and put everything together to make it actually happen, the transaction go through.
Right, and we're the advocates. It's interesting. Yesterday, I was out in one of the communities that we're building a house, or when my clients are building a house, and I've been watching the house build. This particular client is overseas, and I've been sending them videos, and the house really hasn't moved for about a week and a half. I mean, in about 2 weeks, and the house is 95% complete. I mean, they could finish that house literally in my best guess, outside of waiting on an inspector, literally they could finish that house today. I mean, you just need some baseboard, some
So
paint.
what's the holdup, you think? The trades?
Well, that's the trades and them having 50 other homes they're building. And so it's just kind of, the squeaky wheel.
The bandwidth. Yeah, the bandwidth is
wheel
not
gets
there.
the grease. Right. And so we were able to kind of shake through this, and they're like, oh yeah, we got to finish this house. And I'm like, but because we know that, and we have the relationships, and we can, because of our experience, we know like what's a real
what to look for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
someone new to that, they don't know what they don't know, because
correct.
It is all encompassing. There is so much to know.
Yes.
So that's a great peace of mind, I believe, that you bring to your clients in managing that process, and not just, getting the agreement and walking off.
Correct. And then also throughout the process of buying a new home, there's going to be paperwork you have to fill, of course, with the loan and all of that. And my clients call me like, hey, what do I do here? What's this for? And so we help them with that process as well, to where they're completely comfortable. Typically the sales representative would just send a contract on DocuSign. They don't even know what they're signing, right? So we review that with them. If there's minor changes, we look with the magnifying glass to make sure we're not, signing something we're not agreeing to, that we don't want to agree to.
Absolutely.
And then we fight. We fight. I had a client, we closed on a house last week, and they wanted these handrails. It's a 2-story home with like a balcony overlooking the living room, right? And the base thing is sheetrock, right? But they wanted the beautiful, I don't even know what they call it, the like a handrail with the little bars, right? Beautiful. Right. It's metal, but then the top bar is wood. And the showroom shows a beautiful wood grain,
Yeah, and, they always want what they see in the model home.
Exactly. So
typically not included.
Oh yeah, of course not. It's always an upgrade, right? So we were, the painters painted it like a totally dark stain, and my client was in tears. This like, well, and then technically the contract says that they have the right to make adjustments as materials are available. But how
Yes.
are they going to tell me that there's not a clear coat thing at Home Depot to paint it the same color? Because they basically ruined the whole thing by painting it basically black, right? You can't see the wood grain anymore. And so they're like, "Do you think there's something we can do?" I say, "You better believe there's something we can do. We'll take this all the way to the flagpole to make sure that this gets corrected because it's not right. You paid extra money for this, and we're going to fight for them even after the sale." You know,
Yes.
uh,
Yes.
others might say, "Oh, sorry, that was it," and then just
And that's where you knowing the nuances and having relationships with the builders. Because I'm going to tell you, I work for a very reputable builder. I'm not going to mention names.
Right.
Many people may know, but they would rather do something, even if it wasn't in the contract. They would make it right. They had that reputation of that. They would make it right rather than have word of mouth someone say, "Oh, so and so builder sucked.
Right.
They did this and they did that." So, you know. And that's where your experience comes to play, knowing the reputation of the builders, of what they'll do and what they won't do, and how they take care of their clients, even beyond the contract, taking care of their clients. Yeah.
Right. And it's interesting because you hear reviews, on sometimes clients say, "Well, what do you think of this builder? They have a bunch of bad reviews." And I'm like, "Well, you can't build 2,000 homes and not have a bad review. I mean,
Yep.
somebody's always going to be unhappy, but there's
Yep.
not 2,000 positive reviews, because when people are happy, they don't go out of their way to tell
They
you
don't
they're happy.
take their time, right?
Right? I mean, if you have a good meal at a restaurant, you don't go out and tell the world, "Oh my God, I had a good meal." Now, if you had an extraordinary experience, yes, you go out and tell the world and write a review or whatever. But
Yes.
it's when people are unhappy that they put out reviews. So that's also important, because I think sometimes people pass on great builders just because they saw a 2, 3, 4, 4, 5 bad reviews. And
Right.
the other thing is that when reviews are written out there, there's usually not a follow-up, right? So kind of like news stories, right? The news announces, "Hey, such and such was accused of this," and then they never come back and say what happened. Did they get off the hook or whatever, right? They just want that headline, right? So for shock purposes, a lot of people, when they have a review, obviously assuming it's a legitimate complaint that they had a bad experience, something happened, blah, blah, blah. Most of the time, builders are going to go out and try to resolve the issue.
Exactly.
But the reviewer rarely goes back and changes a review
and
to
corrects that.
update and say, after back and forth, they did this right or not. They just leave it out there.
And how long is the review? How aged is it? And again, if you're looking at 20, 2,500 reviews and there's 3 bad. I mean, we had a recent experience. We're very proud of 98 5-star reviews on House. But my web designer said we need to zhuzh up our Google. We only had 3 reviews on Google. One of them was a 1-star, and we'd never even done business with her. So it was some, who knows, maybe it was a competitor, maybe it was just a sour grape person, maybe it was a bot, and I couldn't get Google to remove it. So I did the next best thing, and I just sent out and said, "Hey, can you help us out with the odds?" So we've moved the needle up from 3.3 to 4.8 with 20 reviews. And anybody who wants to go on Google Business and give me a 5-star, if you know about my work, it takes like 5-star to move the needle on a bad one, 0.1%. So yeah, it's crazy. But I think people know there's always going to be a sour grape or some weirdo or whatever that's just, we used to call them, back in my early day of new homes, we used to call them the 1%ers.
Yeah.
There's 1%, it doesn't matter what you do. And it was usually the ones that we gave so much stuff, we bent over backwards. They were just unhappy people, the 1%ers.
Yeah, no matter what you do.
They like to complain. Yeah. So let me ask you this. We're at about 10 minutes left here on our interview. I'm having such a good time and such great information that you're sharing, Cesar. But talk to me about the market today. And I know you've just been doing it for 3 years since you left radio and television, but I think it's important to say you've helped over 50 home buyers and sellers. So that's pretty phenomenal. It's not like 3 years and the average where you've sold, 3 or 4 houses a year. So you've helped a lot of people. So kudos to you on that. So
Thank you.
have you seen, and then of course your sisters have been in the business too. Have you seen, since the market, the market's constantly changing. It's still, I guess there's low inventory, but in the new home arena, what kind of changes have you seen that are possibly significant and or trends that you might see coming up?
Yeah, the biggest challenge, of course, prices continue to go up, materials, labor, all of that, which is driving the prices, and of course,
And interest rates
supply and demand, right?
as well.
But
Yeah.
that's the biggest challenge. Interest rates are going up, and that can put people out of buying a home because of their, as you know, people get qualified on a monthly payment based on their debt to income ratio, right? It doesn't matter how much you make, it's how much you owe, right? I have people who make $100,000 a year, but they have $3,000 of car payments every month, right? Or $5,000,
Yes.
So it just depends. But right now, literally, I have a situation with a buyer who is borderline. Like, her home's not going to be done till August. And so right now we're like freaking out because with the interest rates as they are today, she will qualify. But if they go up half a point more, she won't qualify.
But there's some course correction you can do, right? She could either put a little bit more down. Could she
Correct.
do that?
Yes. I mean, there's a few things.
Or she could do an 80-10-10, something like that. I know there's some creative financing.
Right. And they're possibly. But at the same time, even though, let's say she's approved for this much, and now it's going to go up to this much because of the interest rates. Now, even at that much, even though technically she'll qualify, she's going to be tight on her personal budget.
That's a big thing too. I know my experience is, it's like, well, yeah, I can afford this much, but that's not what I want to pay. That's not my comfort level. Many people are like, they don't want to buy up to what they can afford because they'll be house poor.
Correct. Exactly. Yeah. And that's the situation that we have. So right now we're working with different lenders to see if we can get her, lower escrow payment basically on the calculation. And I'll give you this a perfect example. The builder with their preferred lender, the preferred lender, the builder at this point doesn't matter. They're just selling the house. The preferred lender that we're working with, they calculate that their escrow for taxes and insurance, or for taxes, at 90% of the projected value of the home, right? To put it into the payment.
Okay.
However, typically homestead exemptions are about 20%, 18 to 20%. So there's other lenders who calculate that at 80%. So basically what that means is, let's say with one lender, sales price of the house is the same, but with one interest rate being the same, with one lender, the payment would be, let's say, $1,900 a month. With another lender, they're going to calculate the payment at, let's say, $1,810 a month. And that $90 difference
is huge.
Well, it's huge. And it's the difference whether she makes it or not, because let's say that the client is approved up to like $1,840 a month. So with the preferred lender, they wouldn't qualify. Now we're going with plan B, looking for options. And that's one of the things.
I'm sure you've explored paying down credit cards or different things.
Yes,
like that.
Well, we've looked at every scenario, and that's the thing that also sets us apart, and I'm sure other realtors do it as well. Not everybody does, is that we've become very savvy in the loan process, because not all.
I'm so glad that you said that, because I have an acquaintance who, well, I've heard this more than once. I won't even say an acquaintance. It's just so critical that a realtor be having the pulse of the loan. That is why deals fall through more often than not. Yeah, there's always oddities and different things. Someone quit their job at the last time someone put a lien on their house. But I believe that, deals falling through at least half of the time, if the realtor would have been proactive right out the gate, show me documentation. Where are we? I just counseled a staging client on this. Go back to your realtor, find out are you clear to close? You're supposed to close Wednesday. That's a week away. We're destaging. You need a clear to close. If not, when will you have a clear to close? And if not, what are the conditions? And, I'm not a lender, you're not a lender, but boy, we need to know as much as possible so that the deal doesn't fall through and you go, oh, whoops, you had no idea because you weren't taking the pulse right out the gate.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We go over the numbers and we make sure that they're, like you said, the conditions, right? Paying down the credit cards. I had a client last year. He put the house under contract in March. I was able to check this out. So under normal conditions, if he would have applied, they would have told him no. But before he applied, I reviewed all of his information and I knew how many credit cards. So I called the lender and I said, look, I've got this client. This is the situation. He has 2 more car payments. Okay. He has all these credit cards, but it's a 6-month build. We'll get him all taken care of between now and then, blah, blah, blah. And then we were able to get him approved, get the house under contract. And throughout the process, I stayed on top of him. Hey, have you paid down this card? Have you done this? Did you get the clear title? Is it showing zero balance on your, with your, whatever the car finance company, just to make sure, because I know that those things are going to pop up.
Absolutely.
Right?
But you brought up a good point, and it's something that's close to my heart because back when I was in early on with a builder, I helped a lady who's actually now a very dear friend, and I'm helping decorate her home, etc. But she had been hooked up with someone who had really put her credit in the toilet. I mean, we're talking, it was probably in the 400s. I said, look, don't worry about it. It's going to take it's going to take 6 months to build your home. We're going to put you in a fast credit repair, and she was, bottom line, able to build her credit up and purchase the home by the time the home was built. So if you're out there and you think, hey, my credit's in the toilet, I'll never buy a home. Don't think that way, because there's an old saying, when's the best time to buy? Yesterday. Right?
Yep.
Yeah, it is. You can chase the market back and forth. I remember when we sold our home in California 20 years ago, we sold it for like $550. In 6 months it went up to $8. Then it tanked again. You can play that game, but
yeah.
Bottom line is, if you're making money, but get with a realtor today who can do like what Cesar does and get you on a plan, who's going to help, get you to where you want to be. A new home ownership is possible. I don't care where your credit is. You just have to take radical action and have someone like Cesar who can walk you through the steps to make it happen, because it's doable. I know personally when we came from California, my credit was in the toilet. I didn't have anyone to help me. I just kept disputing and writing letters and disputing, and got my credit up like 150 points.
Awesome.
Myself, but it was a lot of work to do myself,
Right.
and I wasn't buying new. But I love that you help folks who ordinarily would think it's impossible, and they cannot realize the American dream, and they can. It just takes small steps, action, connecting with the right person to help them.
Yeah, and it's interesting. One of my mentors, when I first got started, watching videos of one of my mentors with our company, he said something very awesome, and that kind of changed my philosophy towards home ownership. Right? He said, "Hey, guess what? You're qualified. It's going to take 24 months, but you're going to get qualified." Okay?
I love it.
And guess what? 24 months happen in a blink.
It happens in a blink.
You only need 2 basic things to buy a house. Okay, you need 2 years of employment history, and this is of course with traditional, conventional FHA loans, right? 2 years of employment history and a credit score of 620 or higher, and you can accomplish those in 24 months, right?
And there's down payment assistant. In fact, I think it's next week we're going to have someone on who's a specialist in down payment assistance. So if you're looking for that, tune in next week.
Yeah.
But I love that can do. I love that, I love your attitude about that. And that's what folks need. You just have to have a plan, have someone behind you to lift you up and give you the steps, because it's one step at a time and you'll be there, because there's nothing more empowering than home ownership to build wealth, no matter how little or big the wealth is. You don't have to be a flipper investor. You will build wealth. You will leave a legacy for your family, for you. And, it's incredible. So I love that attitude, and how we're getting close to the we're at 10:30. Great information, Cesar. I'm sure we'll have you back at some time because I really like your energy, your attitude, your show up mentality, and we're going to post this on our YouTube channel. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, Ta-Da by Kat, I think Jeff has posted here, Ta-Da by Kat on YouTube. Subscribe, hit the bell, and you'll be notified when we put new content. We're starting to do not only these episodes, but some, we're going to be starting some 2-minute tips, staging tips. And excuse me, if we haven't met, I'm Kat with Ta-Da by Kat Next Level Staging and Design, where we create visual magic through our magical transformation, whether you're selling or dwelling, have a problem with color, space planning. And oh, by the way, keep a lookout for our decorator for a half or full day. We're really excited to launch that in full scale. And how can people reach you like now before going to YouTube, Cesar? What's the best way?
So they can go to my website, is buywithcesar.com. It's right there on the screen. And then my cell phone.
Buywithcesar.com.
My cell phone, my cell phone, I answer my phone. I don't even have an assistant.
Give us your cell phone, and I love that. You answer your cell phone. Not every agent does, for whatever reason.
832-202-6085. 832-202-6085. I come from radio, so we always have to say the number twice.
You always have to repeat it. Stay on after we end here, but thank you so much, Cesar. You were an absolute joy and pleasure, and I just love this, that I keep showing up with other folks who show up. It allows me to meet people like you and learn so much, because many people may not guess this, but I'm really kind of shy. So this forces me not to be shy. I know, it's funny, right? So have a super weekend, everybody. And I think last week I didn't sign off. I just remembered I had a brain fart. Stay positive, stay hopeful, and stay connected. And thank you so much for connecting with Cesar and me today. Have a wonderful, beautiful weekend. See you next week.